Hey, what's happening, guys? Dan Darrow here from the Alpha Team, and this is the earnings on the radar for the week of March 31st. It is both the last week of the month and the last week of the quarter, and from a scheduled news perspective, it's definitely going to be a little bit quieter. That doesn't mean, however, that there aren't a few big names, because there are, but from an overall perspective, it does slow down now through the next couple weeks, and then it picks right back up quickly in April as the next earnings season gets underway. All right, so after the close today, Monday, just really one name: Phillips Van Heusen, PVH, retail name, pricing in 8.5 points. However, those are monthly options, so there's quite a bit of time value. Um, it's been a long time since I've traded PVH, so I doubt I'm going to start trading it again this week. But it could move around Ralph Lauren or even potentially Macy's when the numbers come out. So I mean, the chart looks like it has some room either way, and it could impact some other names, but I don't think this is going to be something I'm involved with. For the open on Tuesday, so there's a few names, but really I guess like the only one that is semi interesting is Walgreens. It's priced in $1.75. Stock has been very heavy. Same thing with CVS actually too. And it's going into earnings slightly above the 52-week low, so down around like 30, 31 from end of October, or excuse me, beginning of October. Um, Last quarter was okay. I do think it's a tougher setup to be bullish on right now, though, just because it's in a steady downward slide. So this would probably be more of like a post earnings focus for me, depending on what they say and where the stock opens. After the close on Tuesday, Lululemon is priced in $26. This is definitely one of the bigger names of the week. I guess what's interesting about this is that option pricing is still a bit elevated, even though the company did guide. So this move here in January was after preliminary guidance, and typically I assume if a company guides early, that it removes some of the volatility around the actual report. But traders are still looking for a pretty big move this week, just based off what the options are priced at. Um, I mean, above 325, right? So above this area, there's room, and then I mean, obviously, just over the last week and a half, the stock has had almost a 25 $30 move just off the low from last week. So I mean, it does appear to have a decent amount of room in either direction. Um, But I mean, I guess the bigger question I have is, with options priced in 26, like, how much room does that leave? Um, Nike's guidance was a bit underwhelming last week, so I don't know if that's necessarily like a great read through, but it's something to consider. And I think overall, just the option price. I mean, the option pricing just feels high to me, and I'm not sure I'm going to be able to get it down enough to a level where it makes sense for a trade. So I'm definitely going to be watching this. I'm not sure I'm going to have options going into the report, but I'm definitely going to be watching it after the report to see if there's an opportunity for a day trade. Especially, if it has like a decent open and starts to get above 325 or back down to like the mid to uh, the mid 80s or even like 290 level again, because then it gets interesting. But definitely feels like options are priced a little bit high unless there's like a big surprise with the forward guidance. Also Tuesday after the close, Micron, another big one, priced it in $4. The last few quarters have been ugly, but the stock hasn't been hit too hard on any of those prints. Um, I guess I would not be expecting a great quarter, but what the stock does is a totally different question. Um, for the most part, semis saw lower volatility around earnings, and with options at $4, it seems like any strategy here would probably need to get risk down to a level where 2 to 3 could work, because that's more or less what it moved the past few quarters. So options at 4 is priced a bit higher than what it's moved the past couple of quarters. So I think we'd have to really get risk down on it. Wednesday before the open, Bluebird Bio, the price is in $1, but those are monthly options. I mean, it's just like a small bio, um, and the chart obviously doesn't look very good, but I mean, it does appear that expectations are low. So if they can deliver, it might be a bit, bit of room to play some upside catch up. Might be something speculative I look at because they are now a commercial stage bio. They went from a clinical stage bio to a commercial stage bio. So I feel like after the drop and where it's sitting, I mean, it seems like the bar is a bit lower. After the close on Wednesday, Restoration Hardware priced in about $22. Should be another interesting one, another big retail name that is priced in a big move that has a history of volatile reactions. Stock is hanging right around. Scroll up. So it's hanging right around the bottom of like monthly support. Um, the last couple of quarters have been a bit more muted action-wise, but with the stock down here and I guess the option. I mean, the options aren't cheap, but they're also not priced through the roof. So it could be one of those setups where either like the stock is very choppy and doesn't move much, or maybe it's one of those scenarios where it moves like 10, 15, even potentially 20%, depending on if it's like a surprisingly good or surprisingly bad. So it hasn't been as consistent movement wise lately, but it's also at like more of an interesting spot technically. So might be something that I mess around with, but if I did something, it would probably be further out of the money, lower debit, and obviously requiring a bigger move than what's expected, at least according to the options for this week. Before the open on Thursday, EVgo, so it's a charging name. The price in about 85 cents, but those are April monthly options. The charging stocks have been out of play for a while, and I'm not sure earnings are going to move the needle a ton for EVgo, but the chart's tight. It's been in kind of like a tight downward sloping trend for the last month and a half. So maybe if earnings can get it out of this trend, you can get a nice extended move. It's had some extended moves in the past, right? So either down or up. So it's probably something I'll watch the day after, but I don't think I'm going to have any options going into the report. And then Thursday after the close, BlackBerry. It's not really interesting technically, or I mean, really, it hasn't really been something interesting for me for a while. They're priced in at 40 cents. I mean, every once in a while it has a move. I mean, a lot of those moves did revolve around the meme stocks going, and recently when the meme stocks have been a bit lively, BlackBerry is not. So I don't know if it's going to be in play this week. You could never count it out, but at the same time, I mean, it doesn't look like a very interesting setup, and it hasn't really been in play in a while. So it's probably not something I'm going to have options on. But I'll keep an eye on it, and if it does wake up or does do something interesting, maybe I'll mess around with something. But as of right now, I'm not planning on playing this one this week. And then Friday before the open, there's nothing on the calendar, so that's it. So you can see there are a couple names, definitely a few of those pricing in big moves. However, it is a bit quieter, and basically we're going to be into April and the start of the next quarter before you know it. So even though it slows down a bit, it should pick up very, very soon. Okay. So if you like this video, be sure to come check out the Alpha Team. We do talk about earnings often on the days of the announcements and the days after the announcements. So if you like trading earnings, be sure to come on by the Alpha Team and hang out for a bit. All right. So have a fantastic night. Best of luck if you're planning any of these setups, and I will talk to you all later this